Hey everyone, and welcome back to another deep dive. Today we are exploring The Lies for Love by Jaé D. Evans.
Ooh, yes, I've heard good things.
This book was published in 2022, and it's actually part of a series called Love Legalism.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that already got my attention. But then I saw that the central question the book seems to be asking is, can love ever really justify a lie?
Whoa.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that is a good question. Where do you draw the line?
That's a tough one. I think that goes right to the core of our morals, doesn't it? And Evans explores it through this really interesting lens of legalism versus emotionalism.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and you see how these two totally different ways of looking at the world play out in the characters' lives and the choices that they make.
Right. It's not just a light and fluffy romance. We are dealing with some heavy stuff here.
Oh, yeah.
So for those of you who haven't read it yet, let me quickly set the stage.
Yeah.
We've got Aria Bennett, a young and ambitious lawyer who's all about logic and reason.
Okay.
And then we have Ethan Cole, this charismatic figure, but he's shrouded in mystery.
I like it.
Right.
The author's choice of setting is really clever here, I think.
Yeah.
Because Aria's a lawyer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So her entire world is built on rules and evidence, black and white.
Yeah.
But then love comes in, and suddenly everything's messy and gray.
Yeah.
It's like watching two completely different worlds collide.
Exactly. And you can see her struggling with that right from the very beginning of the book. She's very driven and successful, but at the same time, she's got this vulnerability, this fear of letting go.
Mm-hmm.
Almost too controlled, I think, which actually makes her really relatable. You can see how that need for control would totally clash with the wild and unpredictable nature of love.
Oh, absolutely. Aria is the perfect example of this tension between legalism and emotionalism.
Right.
It's not even just about the law. It's about a mindset.
Right, yeah.
Legalism in this context is about that rigidity needing proof.
Yeah.
Needing to see the evidence. Whereas emotionalism is all about intuition, feeling your way through things.
Interesting. Okay, so speaking of feeling our way through things,
Right.
let's talk about Ethan. The author keeps his backstory hidden for a good chunk of the book.
Right.
I'll be honest, it had me hooked.
I bet. That's classic dramatic irony.
Right.
We, the readers, know that something's up with Ethan. You just don't know. And it creates this delicious tension, this constant anticipation as you're reading.
It does, but it also serves a deeper purpose, doesn't it?
Oh, it totally does.
Okay, I'm listening.
The slow reveal of Ethan's past is directly connected to the theme of love's duality.
Ooh, okay.
Ethan represents this idea that love can be both incredibly good and incredibly dangerous.
Interesting.
Yeah, and his secrets, his past, those things hold the key to understanding why he believes love can be a double-edged sword.
Wow, that is such a good point. It's like, are we as readers even supposed to be rooting for him? Or should we be wary of him? We just don't know. And the book really doesn't shy away from showing how love can lead people to do some pretty questionable things.
Totally agree. There's this one scene, and I won't give too much away, but briefly describe a scene where a protagonist makes a morally ambiguous choice in the name of love.
Ew.
It really makes you as the reader question, where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
Can love ever truly justify a lie?
Right. And there's this line that really stuck with me. It says, quote, about the tension between logic and emotion from the book. It perfectly captures that inner turmoil that both Aria and Ethan are going through.
It does.
Yeah.
And that tension is the driving force of the entire story.
Right.
It's through that tension that we see Aria grow and start to realize that life, especially when it comes to love, isn't always black and white.
Right.
There are these gray areas. And sometimes you just have to trust your gut, even when it goes against logic.
You know, and what's interesting is that both Aria and Ethan are trying to redeem themselves for past mistakes. So it adds this whole other layer to their relationship.
Absolutely. Their journeys towards forgiveness become intertwined. It's like they're both trying to find peace with their pasts while also navigating this intense attraction.
Yeah.
It makes you think, can finding love actually help someone find redemption? Or does true redemption have to come from within?
Wow, those are some deep questions.
Yeah.
Evans really packs a lot into this seemingly simple romance story. The way she writes is just so engaging.
Oh, totally. I agree. Her descriptions are vivid and the dialogue flows so naturally.
Yeah.
You feel like you're right there with the characters.
And she doesn't get bogged down in legal jargon.
Exactly.
Which I appreciated.
Evans manages to seamlessly weave the legal aspects of the story into the romance. The technical details never overshadow the emotional core of the narrative. They enhance it.
Yeah. It's a really well-paced story, too. You get these quiet and introspective moments.
Yeah.
And then, bam, you're thrown into a high-stakes courtroom scene.
That's a great point. Her engaging writing style contributes to that well-balanced pacing. It keeps you on the edge of your seat the entire time.
So it's a page turner for sure.
hmm
Complex themes, multi-layered characters, what's not to love?
Well, I will say some readers might find that the pacing is a bit uneven in a few places.
I can see that. And maybe some might wish the supporting characters were fleshed out a little bit more.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it's a really well-crafted novel.
I agree. The Lies for Love is a story that stays with you. It makes you think about the choices that we make in the name of love, the consequences of our actions,
Mm-hmm.
and the possibility of finding redemption.
Yeah, and I have a feeling we've only just scratched the surface. There's this whole other layer to the story, this recurring motif of masks and facades
Ooh, yeah.
that I think deserves a closer look.
Absolutely. The way Evans uses masks to symbolize the character's hidden struggles and the deceptive nature of appearances is genius.
So that's where we'll pick up in part 2 of our deep dive into The Lies for Love Don't Go Anywhere.
Welcome back to our deep dive into The Lies for Love. Remember how we left off talking about masks and facades?
Yes.
Well, I really want to dig a little deeper into that
Mm-hmm.
because I think that this theme is super important to understanding the struggles that these characters go through.
You know, when I first started reading, I thought the whole mask thing was just a metaphor. Like, you know how people hide their true feelings?
Right.
But it's so much more than that.
It really is. And Evans uses this motif in such clever ways. We see it literally with Ethan.
Right.
He's hiding his real identity behind this carefully constructed persona.
Yeah.
It's like he's literally wearing a mask to protect himself,
Mm.
maybe even to protect others from what he sees as the darker parts of himself.
It really makes you think as a reader, what kind of past would lead someone to feel like they had to completely hide who they are? What is he so afraid of?
Exactly. And what's interesting is that Aria wears a mask too,
Oh, yeah.
just in a different way.
Okay.
She has this image of the strong, unwavering lawyer who has it all together,
Mm-hmm.
but underneath she's struggling with her own insecurities and self-doubt and this fear of letting go.
Yeah, it's like she's afraid to show any weakness, especially in a profession that can be so cutthroat and competitive.
Right. And think about the symbolism here. Her persona becomes a kind of armor. It shields her vulnerability from a world that seems to only reward strength and success.
Okay, but how does this all connect back to the legal world, to this whole legalism versus emotionalism thing?
Well, Evans makes this really interesting connection between masks and the legal system itself.
Okay.
Think about a courtroom, right?
Yeah.
Everyone is playing a role, presenting this carefully curated version of the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Lawyers are building their cases, witnesses are giving testimonies, and the jury has to try to figure out what's real and what's fabricated.
Wow, I never thought about it that way before. So is she saying that the legal system itself encourages deception?
I don't think it's necessarily about intentional deception,
Mm-hmm.
but more about presentation.
Okay.
It's about highlighting certain facts while downplaying others,
Oh.
all within the rules of the game. And this raises an important question for us, the readers. How can we really truly get to know someone if they're constantly hiding behind a mask, whether they're doing it intentionally or unintentionally?
It's like we're all wearing masks to some degree. The persona that we project to the world versus all the complexities that we hold within.
Exactly. Evans is subtly prompting us to think about our own facades and to consider what it might take to be truly authentic with ourselves and with others.
You know, this is the kind of thematic depth that elevates this book.
Yeah.
It makes it more than just a romance.
Yeah,
It makes you think. It stays with you.
absolutely. And remember how we talked about the consequences of those hidden truths? Well, Evans doesn't shy away from exploring what happens when those masks start to slip, when the secrets come out and the facade crumbles.
There's that one scene where Ethan's mask is finally stripped away.
Yeah.
And I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't read it, but the emotional fallout is just gut-wrenching.
That scene is so important because it forces both Ethan and Aria to face who they really are, flaws and all. And
Mm.
it's a turning point for them.
Yeah.
It's to start real growth and a deeper connection.
Mm.
It's almost like they can finally start to be honest with each other and with themselves once the masks are off.
It's like that saying, only when you're truly seen flaws and all can you truly be loved.
Exactly. And that is a powerful message,
Mm-hmm.
don't you think? Especially in a world where we're constantly bombarded with images of perfection and vulnerability is seen as a weakness.
You know, it's funny. We're talking about seeing people for who they really are. And I keep thinking about Aria's best friend, Chloe.
Oh, yeah.
She's like such a breath of fresh air. She's so free-spirited and just unapologetically herself. It's like she's not even wearing a mask at all.
Chloe's such a great character. She's a perfect contrast to Aria's more guarded nature. She's that friend who encourages you to embrace your true self, let go of all your inhibitions, and just go for it.
Yeah, and their friendship is such a nice contrast to the more rocky romantic relationship between Arya and Ethan.
Yeah.
It's like a safe space, a reminder that true friendship is about accepting each other, completely flaws and all.
And Chloe's not just there for comic relief
Hmm.
or to give Arya someone to cry to.
Right.
She actually plays a really important part in helping Arya see things more clearly, to question her assumptions, and to make choices that are really true to herself.
She's like the voice of Arya's intuition.
Exactly.
That little nudge to trust her gut and lean into her emotions, even when it's scary.
And while we're talking about supporting characters, we can't forget about the glimpses we get into Ethan's family history.
Oh, yes. Especially his relationship with his brother.
Yes, it's clear there's a lot of baggage there.
Yeah.
A shared past that has really shaped Ethan into this guarded person.
It makes you realize that everyone has a story. Everyone is carrying something beneath the surface.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this book so compelling. It's a story about relationships, about the masks that we wear, the secrets that we keep, and ultimately the possibility of finding redemption for ourselves and the people that we love.
So what's next for us on this deep dive? I feel like we've uncovered so much, but there's still so much more to explore.
There is. And in the final part of our deep dive, we're going to tackle the theme that's really at the heart of it all, redemption. We'll look at how Aria and Ethan confront their pasts, how they seek forgiveness, and how they find their way back to themselves and to each other.
All right, so welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the lies for love. We've talked about the masks that people wear, the relationships, and all those moments that just have you questioning everyone's choices.
Yeah, definitely.
But now let's get to the theme that runs through this entire book, redemption. What does it really mean, and is it even possible?
It's a big question, and I think Evans explores it in such a beautiful way in this book. You know, redemption, it's not just about saying sorry. It's about acknowledging your mistakes and really understanding how they've hurt other people,
Hmm.
and then actually trying to be better. It's about growth. It's about
Oh.
changing who you are.
And both Arya and Ethan have so much baggage from their past. It's like all these experiences they've had, it's really shaped who they are, how they see the world, how they approach relationships.
Absolutely. Take Aria, for example. She's haunted by guilt over something that happened when she was younger.
Yeah.
This feeling of responsibility.
Yeah.
And it's made her so cautious, almost afraid to really let love in because she's scared of hurting someone again.
Like she's protecting herself from getting hurt again.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have Ethan, who's dealing with the consequences of some choices that he made trying to protect his family.
Right.
He's convinced that he doesn't deserve love or happiness. He's punishing himself for what he's done.
So they're both carrying all these scars, these burdens from their pasts.
Hmm.
And it just makes you wonder, can two people who are so broken really find healing and redemption together?
It's the central question of their whole relationship.
Yeah.
And what I find so compelling is that their paths to redemption, they actually become intertwined.
Yeah.
They help each other to face their past, forgive themselves, and ultimately move on.
There's this one scene that I just can't get out of my head. Arya, despite all her fears, actually encourages Ethan to try and reconcile with his brother.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just this really powerful moment. It shows how forgiveness, even when it's really hard, can be so transformative.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really emphasizes that idea that redemption isn't something you do alone.
Right.
It often means reaching out to the people that we've hurt and admitting the pain that we cause trying to make things right.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes those conversations are messy and uncomfortable, but they're so necessary for healing to even begin.
It's not always easy, is it? I mean, there are times where Arya and Ethan resist and they get angry. They struggle with what happened and the part that they played in it all.
Exactly. Evans doesn't try to make it seem simple. Redemption isn't about pretending the path didn't happen or erasing it. It's about facing those hard truths and learning from them and letting it all fuel your personal growth.
It's about owning up to your actions, but also, and this is so important, I think, forgiving yourself.
Yes.
They both have to come to terms with their own flaws before they can really move on.
Self-forgiveness, it's crucial.
Yeah.
It's about realizing you're worthy of love and happiness, even though you've messed up in the past. It's about letting go of the guilt and shame.
And one of the things I loved most about this book was seeing Arya and Ethan slowly start to let go of all that emotional armor they've been wearing. They embrace their vulnerabilities and choose to believe in a better future. It's like watching them come back to life.
It's a beautiful thing. Their journey is such a good reminder that redemption isn't about being perfect. It's about being whole, accepting yourself, flaws, and letting yourself be loved in spite of them.
It's such a powerful message that I think we can all connect with in some way. We've all messed up. We all have regrets.
Yeah.
But The Lies for Love shows us that it's never too late to try to make things right, to heal and create a better future.
And it really makes you think, if Arya and Ethan can find redemption after everything they've been through, then maybe there's hope for us too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we all have the power to change and grow and be better.
That is a powerful thought to end on. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I have a question for you listening. What stuck with you the most? Was it the characters, the themes, the message that redemption is possible? Whatever it was, I hope this deep dive has left you thinking and feeling.
This book, it really stays with you. It makes you think and feel and leaves you with this sense of hope that maybe we can all find redemption and love and a better future.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So until next time, keep diving deep and remember there's always something new to discover.